No, what I'm saying is like my life is very elbow driven, and it's like with this and all that. So,
Now I'm picturing your elbow driving a car down the street.
have you never driven with your elbows before? Like you're trying to eat some fries and you're like, I've got to make this turn.
That's what you use, the forearm, the wrist.
Oh,
That's what I use.
it's a.
Or as a proper driver, my hands.
Or are we on?
We've been on for a bit.
Oh no. Hey.
So if you haven't figured it out, we're talking with Adam Gorham, artist extraordinaire, and my personal favorite punching bag. I like beating up on the guy. We build, but it's because you do such great work. That's the reality. I'm jealous of how good you are and how talented you are at what you do. Right now, you've got the New Mutants just came out, Dead Souls,
Yes.
miniseries, 6-issue miniseries.
6-issue miniseries.
Your work is amazing. Michael Garland's doing great art, coloring on it.
Yeah, he's a
And-
dynamo.
yeah, just really making it pop for you.
Yeah, he worked really hard on this first issue. We both did, just because like we knew that we wanted this book to have kind of like a BPRD sort of Scooby-Doo take on the book, and so balancing that kind of like, you know, not hardcore horror, but that horror feel with like superhero characters. We had to juggle some tone a bit, but he makes me look really great. So I can't sing his praises enough. But yeah,
Because he worked on The Violent with you,
we
and
did Violent together and Rocket as well, and he's done numerous covers for me. So he's very versatile, and I get jealous when I see him do great work for other people. He's terrific. We're lucky to have him.
yeah, it's what really has made you the artist that you are. I should be really talking to him, not you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He isn't here though.
So I guess I'm talking to you.
You're stuck with me. I'm sorry, but I find that the key to success is just have somebody better in front of you, and like latch on to them.
That's why I'm here to help you.
Thank you. I'm latching on to you. That's great.
Now, with New Mutants, were you always a fan of New Mutants? Like before, like when you were growing up reading comics, was that always like a book for you?
No, I was.
Right to the point and honest. I like it.
Well, I don't want to BS anybody. Like, I can't hold my own in a serious conversation about like the New Mutants lore, right? But I grew up an X-fan, like a lot of kids in the '90s, because of the cartoon that did bleed. And then I got into the comics that way, and so like a lot of '90s X-Men, Uncanny X-Men stuff. I was right into Age of Apocalypse. Pretty much everything that they were doing, and then later the Ultimate X-Men stuff really appealed to me. But I think New Mutants kind of had its time before I got into comics, and so they were like New Mutants and I think X-Force were kind of already on the downslide when I was able to buy and read and follow comics. So they were characters I was aware of, and like my only connection to Illyana was that she was Colossus' sister. So she was kind of an accessory to a character I thought was cool, and I had yet to discover like why these characters were cool in their own right. So I, obviously did some homework when I started on the book, and found like why people like these characters, and also my own appreciation for them. And then of course, like whenever you're working on characters, and I'm reading Matt's scripts, and he has a lot of affection for these characters, Magic in particular, and you fall in love with them for the reasons he does, and also I was saying elsewhere. I forged my own connection to these Magic in particular. So they've become very special to me.
I see a lot of your Instagram posts, like a lot of people do, but also your Facebook and whatnot.
Yes.
As much as it's cool to see your updates on, when you were working on New Mutants, for example, or Rocket, seeing those show up in your feeds, what I do like is your family stuff that shows up, like your daughter's getting involved in the drawing.
Yeah.
It's always it feels nice. Like for you as a dad, like has that been great? Like because you're working at home, and and they're showing at least a little bit of interest in what you do.
Working from my home studio was very challenging for me at first, but I found the discipline to develop a routine while still remaining flexible to roll with punches because, like, I'll still get the call from school saying, Rosalind's sick or whatever. I gotta stay limber in that way. And then, of course, like, when I have to draw, but I have to look after them. It's like just have a dance party in my room while I somehow get this done. And yeah, it's sweet for me because they see me draw, and like they want to draw for themselves, and I don't give them any tips, or I don't try to influence them in any way. So to see them take it up because they want to, it touches me in a very special place. And my oldest daughter, Rosalind, is quite good. I'm just amazed by her every day. But to add to it, like she did this thing where at school where she drew that, like your goals for the futures, and one of her top 5 goals was to be a mutant, and she drew herself like with her powers, and that blew me away. And then not long after that, I got the New Mutants gig, and I was like, you won't believe what I'm doing. So she was excited for me, and so she reads everything I do, and I tell her about the stories that I'm working on, and like so she plays, like, whether or not she's directly impacting the book, like she's a factor in my creative life, and so she, I started to see little bits of magic in or her as I read the script, and I would see like bits of my daughter in Magic's characterization, which made it extra special for me. So yeah, having my family life sort of bleed into my creative life just makes the whole thing more wonderful.